Welcome to Inspirational Talks with LaDonna Marie, a Planting Positive Seeds podcast.
Your life is your story. No one else gets to write it. No one else gets to define it. Every choice you make, every risk you take, every dream you chase, it's yours. People will doubt you, judge you, misunderstand you, but it doesn't matter. This is your journey, your fight, your legacy. Own it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inspirational Talks with your host, Dr. LaDonna Marie. And I'm so excited about my guest on tonight. You guys, we met at the Impact International Book Awards, and he got an award. I got an award. He does amazing work out here in the world, and I couldn't wait to share more about what he does with each and every one of you all. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Stevo to come on into the show. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, Dr. LaDonna Marie, right? Okay, can I just
Yes.
call you LaDonna? Thank you for having me. I just always, when I come on a podcast, I want to thank, the first responders, military, even active, retired, and you have this. So thank you for your husband's service to our country and sacrifice. So I'm here.
Thank you so much for being here. I thank you for staying in connection, since the awards, and, I've been seeing the things that you've been doing and more about your books and everything. But for the listeners here at Inspirational Talks, can you please just share with them a little bit about who you are and your journey?
Originally from Carlisle, Pennsylvania, born and raised, graduated from Carlisle Senior High School, joined the Army in 1988, been to 5 combat tours, stationed all over the world. I don't even know a place that haven't been stationed. Been stationed all over the United States. Moved, and then retired in 2008 on Halloween. I had a career killer. That's what I call them. Step in my way. Sergeant Major told me that after my 5th combat tour, you have anger issues, mental health issues, you're not going to make Master Sergeant. We all know that when they put onesies and twosies on your report, at that level, you're supposed to have 1s, and I had a 2, and I knew that I wasn't going to get selected. So my fiance at the time was a psych nurse, master. She has a master and 2 bachelors, one in psychiatry, psychology, nursing education, and nursing. And she told me, yeah, you need to start trying to plan for a family. So that's what I did. And I didn't know how to do anything because I was suffering real bad from different things. I was already on lithium. I was already on lithium since I was a staff sergeant, and it was pretty bad. So I went to Walter Reed Army Medical Center, the Wounded Warrior Transition Unit. So I went there. I had an interview. Next thing I knew, I had orders. I went back to my unit and said, I'm attached to Wounded Warrior Transition Unit. They're like, you can't do that. And they're like, that's your career. I'm like, well, I'm signing my career over. I'm done. So I went to Walter Reed for a year, and I was there for a year because my last tour, I didn't have a weapon. I helped write a book for the Army with 4 other people, combat arms assessment team, where we didn't have a weapon. And then going to Walter Reed was a huge shock for me, seeing soldiers coming off the battlefield all blown up, missing arms and legs. But me, you couldn't see anything. Wow. Everything was on the inside.
Yeah.
And I was in an inpatient psych unit where they called it training instead of therapy. You have to go to training every day, So I wasn't allowed to go home. The only time I went home was the birth of my daughter in 2007. Okay. She was born. I was home for 2 days and went back. Eventually, I got to go home near the end on the weekends because they did research, and soldiers were coming home and unaliving their families, thinking that their families were the enemy, not telling anyone they had demons. And next thing you know, they unalive their family, and they're a highly decorated war hero in jail, or they're a 22.
Wow.
Committing suicide because they just can't fit into the civilian sector or civilian. So after that, it was I got married before my daughter was born, in 2006, 28th December. I got married. From that point, after Isabel was born, I was a forgotten father. From what I heard from her college roommate, all she wanted was a kid. And when I found out that she had skeletons, it was 10 years of non-intimate marriage. And I only stayed for my daughter And from us talking, 2014, I wanted to take my life.
Wow.
I was at a point, and I think my mom's death opened my eyes because my mom was in a home in 2014. I took my daughter Izzy there, and she's like, "What's wrong with grandma?" And I was like, "I think she's sleeping." And I knew that my mom was dead because her eyes were up in her head. She had a full goatee, and I know that they weren't doing anything for her. And that's the way a lot of those
Wow.
nursing facilities are. I mean, they let your parents go to waste.
Yeah.
So when she died, I looked at my daughter and I was like, there's got to be hope. But the hope was the father who abused me called me on the phone and said, "Look, he's 80 years old. My mom was 61 when she died." So my mom gave up the will to live. So I'm sure some people can just shut off the world
Yeah.
and go away. So my dad called me and said, "Hey, I'd like you to come and help me." So basically, we didn't get divorced. I was separated in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived with my dad until 2017 when he had a stroke and passed away. So the great state of Pennsylvania, they make divorces quite long. So that divorce was not final until 2019.
Okay.
And I already had a manuscript for my first book.
Mm-hmm.
Now that was a bunch of like note taking and stuff from age 19 all the way up to like
Wow.
43. So there was a manuscript, but it's pretty bad when you lose your parents and you have to like sit in their empty apartment. I'm already going through a lot of stuff at work. I was working for the civilian government as a security specialist, and I wanted to get the therapeutic side of me out. There were a
Mm-hmm.
lot of darkness. I'm in their apartment. I would go to work, 8, 9 hours a day, come home at night, lay the manuscript out on the floor and pretend that I'm the audience, like I'm the
Yeah.
reader. And it's very hard for me to read because like I don't want to say I'm a little slow, but I think since I've been doing podcasts and everything, I'm more getting myself back into tune. But reading
Mm-hmm.
just was not my thing. Like all this stuff like is all like it's just like a paper script, almost like a script that you read for, you know,
Yeah.
when you're doing a movie. So it's all laid out all over the floor, and I'm trying to make this thing. There's no cover. I don't know anything. I didn't know that you had to have a cover or a back or a bio. I didn't know none of that. All I had was
Yeah.
just a raw script, and I laid it out, and I'm like, okay, I want this page. I want to lead the person into the next page so they don't get bored. You ever like open a book and be like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah.
So that's the way the first book, The Mirror, was. And I didn't have a cover. And then there was like a phone call, and they were like, "Hey, we want to do an article on your dad." And it was the local newspaper. And they came, and it was more like an article on me because I was a veteran dealing with the death of
Yeah.
my parents. So they took some cool pictures and they showed them to me. And they're like, "Hey, we're going to run this article." And I'm like, well, there's this picture of me standing in this hallway with a light, like I was going to heaven or like I was
Yeah.
walking away, just giving up. So The Mirror, when it came out in 2018. So I showed the manuscript to a bunch of people I graduated from high school with, and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"You have a book in you." So we dropped it. I dropped it in 2017. Book Venture didn't drop it until 2018. And the first 3 weeks it sold out. I didn't even know it sold out on Amazon. I didn't get
Wow.
no royalties or anything. They just
Mm-hmm.
scammed number one. That was the publishing company that took me for my. So I think for like 4 years, my book sat out there on the internet, and I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. It was hard to even figure out who was collecting the royalties. I think like 4 years later, I got a check for like $200. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
very much. Have a nice day.
Right.
And so I rebranded in 2024 under The Mirror Second Edition,
Okay.
and I went under United Writers. I don't highly recommend them. But it was easy. I mean, it was like $175. They rebranded my
Mm.
book and put it out there with an ISBN and all that, but I didn't know that they would own my book. So uh, then I started getting into some situations at work. You being in the psych side, I'm sure you know if somebody looks at you the wrong way, you can get in trouble for that. Like, "I hate you" look, "I want to kill you" look, or "I don't like
Yeah.
you" look. Well, that happened to me at work. And let's just say there was a vendetta against me. So I basically told my boss while I was at work, "You and I shouldn't be working in the same space." Next thing I know, that's police. And I was already working on my retirement because my disability
Mm-hmm.
retirement because like they're already treating me like garbage and everything. I'll get into that later. And then I think I was fired over an email.
Wow.
Yeah, they just sent me an email and said you're terminated. I talked to some of my civilian mentors that work very high in the government. One thing or another. I filed for disability retirement through the government. Only 12% of those individuals get approved. Most of those get disapproved because of lack of medical documents, no proof of the incidents that happened or anything, or what's it called, reasonable accommodation being disapproved. They didn't want me there. So basically, I've been with the same psychiatrist since 2008. He wrote the Golden Book of Love for me. So the medical terminology, because those people that look at your records are not like your everyday people that are walking on the street. These people have the highest degrees, and they know when they're getting scammed. So the only thing that was wrong with my stuff was my daughter's insurance stuff. A couple months later, it was approved. And while I was waiting to be approved in 2024 on Star Wars Day, I just picked up my phone, and I didn't think I had a second book in me. And because I have tremors, long-term medication use, the medicine might be helping you now, but 4 years later, 5 years later, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I have very bad tremors in this hand, and I can't write or type. So my iPhone has notes, and I'm walking around the house with my headset on, talking, and I'm doing entries. And I started doing podcasting, talking to different veteran podcasts. And I was at the point where I was living in this big house after my ex-wife and my daughter moved out. It was time for me to sell the house. So that same time writing that book, and it only took me about 5 months to write the book. May, June, July, August. And then I sold my house in October. I was out on the road, and the book came out on Halloween, and I was self-published because the people I was working with, they scammed me again.
My
second publisher scammed me again, and we'll get into that here in a minute. But The Broken Mirror was born, and that was a mental health, like a mental tool for your mental toolbox. And then the heartfelt apology to my daughter. And then I was out on the road, an RV. I sold my house, bought an RV for $28,000. Didn't know anything about camping or anything about going, but I'll tell you what, all the pain is in the campgrounds. Wow. All the veterans, all the people that are suffering are out there. I meet so many people on the road. And then while I was out on the road, and I don't even know, like my books have all been reviewed by the U.S. Book Review. I guess they have this thing where they just submit your stuff, Secretly, I don't know. I know that The Mirror and The Broken Mirror both were submitted for Eric Hoffer. And I was like, never heard from him again. And then I got this thing saying, congratulations, you're nominated for Eric Hoffer for The Broken Mirror.
Yeah.
And then 3 days later, I found out, and I didn't even know what international impact book was. I don't even know how I got to that. And they're like, you won the 2 awards, military, self-help, and self-help. I'm like, what? That book, it didn't sell a lot, but I guess the uppers decided that it had the credibility. And I probably bought 100 books myself. I give more books out on the road. And I think it's more sentimental when you're sitting in front of someone that's suicidal, or just you sign your book, your signature in front of them, hand it to them. I also have like challenge coins that I made. You know what coins are, right? Your husband.
Yeah. You give them
I have trinkets. I have trinkets with this. I don't sell apparel. I don't make no money off of anything. Any money goes to my daughter's private account for royalties. But then I went to Phoenix and speaking with authors from around the world. Like, it was a worldwide event. And speaking, I've done a lot of research prior. Like, I spoke with Dr. Michael Copeland. He showed me kind of the way, like, things to say in a speech. Because, like, I'm always used to military engagement speaking, being an Army instructor. So I started writing my speech in March last year, and the event was in July. So I probably went through about 10 times different, and I, some of it was very like to the point, mic drop, but I wanted my civilian mentor who did the preface to my book said, you probably need to use something from your book to lure them in. So I used being in a psych ward, how I opened it with the black marker and the red marker, which captivated the audience because the next day I heard that I had a very good speech. I'm not saying I had the best speech, but there were a lot of I saw a lot of good speakers.
Yeah.
Nim's daughter shut everybody down. So
yeah, she did.
I was in tears on that one. I was like, he got a 10-year-old just made everybody in this room like
I recorded it as well. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, she set the bar, and these kids are so smart these days, but my favorite speaker was the first guy that spoke. He's a special forces guy. A lot of people don't know that. The very first guy, the Jamaican black guy.
Yeah, I remember.
He wore like I call him Michael Jackson. He impressed me out of the whole group because like I follow him online and everything. And I was like, I'm gonna meet you when we get there. So, but like when he spoke, I was like mesmerized.
They did a lot of good speeches.
Oh, so many good speeches. So many amazing people. I mean, all the people that work for them, all that. But I realized it wasn't about selling books. It's about building the platform. Right. And when I came home, I didn't even have a second book. So the picture of No Filter is from the hotel room before I went to the event.
Really?
I'm sitting there. Yeah, I got my hands on my head and I just had my camera and I took a picture from the background. And while I'm getting ready to go to the event, my phone rings and it's my kid. And she's like, oh my God, Dad, tonight's the night. You're in Phoenix, right? And I'm like, yeah, I am, Isabel. She's like, congratulations, dude, knocked out that speech. I saw your speech. And she's like, by the way, do you have $50? And I'm like, what? You should be giving me $50, kid. So I went and did all that. I met so many people. Sunday was great. I met so many people. I met so many people at the airport. And then I came home, and one of my friends who works for the government, I kept nagging him. I'm like, dude, you need to do a review of my book. You need to do my book. He's like, well, I'm going to help you move, so we're going to sit down and have a face-to-face. So he told me, like, we're sitting outside, and we're sitting on tailgate of the truck, and he goes, your book, he goes, I can't write a review because of what I do in the government. He goes, because but when I retire next year, I'll write a review. He goes, but I want to tell you to your face that your book didn't impress me. And I'm like, what? He goes, no, your book didn't impress me because you wrote it like you were speaking to people and people don't want that. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, there's a lot of like, he goes, I've read a lot of good books. I listened to a lot of good podcasts, but he goes, there's a couple editing issues. And I'm like, okay, I've never heard that before. And he goes, I just think that when you're speaking, you need to like write like people are reading it. And I get more credibility from, they feel like you and I are sitting in the same room talking, you don't even know who I am. So he said, you should do a memoir. And I was like, dude, I ain't writing no more books, man. I'm done, dude. Like, I'm shut down, man. Like my mission is just to push 1821 Voice of the Voiceless, 1821 Productions, Voice of the Voiceless platform. He goes, man, you got one more in you. So he left and I sat down and I started doing what I did with the Broken Mirror. And I already knew my cover was, I already knew it. But I was like, this is going to have like some swear words in it. And I'm going to be like opening Pandora's box about a lot of stuff. Like, I got stuff like bullying and Billy Beethoven. When I was a skateboarder kid, I actually joined the orchestra when I was a skater. So here I am running around looking like a little skate kid playing the violin. I have toxic marriage. I have the thing that will make this book the seller is my daughter. My 18-year-old daughter did Izzy's diary. And it was Izzy's thoughts. And then I said, now people will be like, eh. So I made it Izzy's diary, like it came out of her diary. Yeah. So career killers. And then I also did leadership, military and corporate leadership in it. And then I did struggling authors. Look out for funnel organizations. Look out for scammers and all that. So, and the things that I do now, like with the platform, the Stevo thing we're talking about. So I have Cooking with Stevo on Facebook, where I don't talk about my book. People cook food and take pictures at restaurants. So they post all their food. I'll send you the link so you can join. But then I have story time with Stevo because there's a lot of people out there that can't afford books. Yeah. So I sit down and like story time and read out of my books. Then I also share 1821 Productions on Spotify, where I did all my audio recordings for my daughter, but I had bark in the background. And they didn't accept the audio file, so I had to like professionally pay for it. But I'm glad I did, because the guy who did the Broken Mirror audiobook is Army veteran. And he actually listened. He actually listened to all my audio clips and got like the inflection of my voice and everything. Yeah. He told me personally, I spoke to him because I wanted to know if he was AI or not. because I was like, it sounded like AI, and no. So he told me, he said, a lot of narrators, and you got to watch this as an author, you pay a narrator, they're going to read words. That's it. They're going to read words and they're going to charge you amount of money. He told the story, like with the infliction and everything. So I've been scammed several times. Yeah, I've been scammed several times. So I made the blacklist on Facebook groups where we call out fake authors that hide behind authors, like someone will hide behind your profile and lure you into they are the actual fake marketer. We call out the fake marketers, we call out the scammers, we call out people that come on and go, hey, I just won $200,000 and I want to give it to you. So snap that picture, you're now part of the blacklist. So I got that, and then I also have what's the other one? I got cooking, and I have crawl, walk, run. So in the military, you learn coach, teach, mentor. So I just shut it down as crawl, walk, run. You have to start out as a follower before you're a leader.
Yeah.
And I have crawl, walk, run on Facebook groups. So, and
awesome.
I'm an advocate for mental health, veterans, and advocate for authors. So that's me in a nutshell.
Well, Stevo, that has been that's a lot of information. Inspirational Talks listeners, I hope that you were taking notes and just listening to about his life and the things that he was sharing with us. I really love mental health. We were talking offline. We were just talking about mental health. And so, and even the stories you shared about you and your daughter and your life. But I want you to just share briefly one of the moments, because on Planting Positive Seeds, we plant positive seeds in the lives of others daily. And so we do that by sharing how we've overcome some things in our life. And I want you to share a time when you had to overcome something, just one, and just share with them a little bit about how you walked through it, so that they can know that even if they're somewhere stuck in a situation, that they can come out on the other side.
I would say I've had a pretty hard life, but out on the road in the RV, you never know who you're going to come across. Like, I've come across people that are suicidal, and you can't talk to them in a way that will trigger them.
Yeah.
You're not here. You have to come down to their level, equal level. And it's the way you talk to people. And, I've been on podcasts where they use the F word. Military guys, they always swear. But I always try to keep it professional because I represent this logo right here, my platform. But I think the hardest thing in my life is and it's not even all the mental health. I think I never was a father that I could be. Mentally abusing my daughter, mentally abusing my wife, not physically, because I was physically abused and mentally abused, but I never thought that bond would ever be the same. But after I read Izzy's diary, it brought me to tears, because I'm 56 and I don't cry. My mom's gone, my dad's gone, and my sister just recently passed away before I went to Arizona. So I'm the last, and my daughter is the last to carry the Stephens name. So sorry if I'm gonna make you cry.
I know, right?
But all I know is I'm the torchbearer that passed the torch to my kid. So I do everything for my daughter. And if something would tragically happen to her, I would not end my life, because I have a mission, and I will do this to the day I die. Okay. So I've been treated wrongly, and I just think that there's people out there. They are the unheard voices. I always say authors are the unheard stories of the people that can't speak. Yes. So you and me, we tell the stories of the unheard.
Yeah.
I would say one thing to any struggling authors in my new book, No Filter, there are steps that you take. You don't just sit down and write chapters. You have to be a visionary or a creator. I don't call myself an author. I'm a visionary, a creator. I'm an advocate. And the hardest thing was accepting the pain for my daughter. But I read in there that the thing that she looked up to me the most was teaching her how to drive. I started teaching her when she was 14 in parking lots. And I never yelled at her or anything like that, because I always yelled at her, and she always shut down. But if she makes mistakes, I was always I was always making videos that she didn't like it. She's like, I knew you're going to post this online and I'm going to get in trouble for driving at 14. I'm like, no, I want these as memories,
Yeah.
And I go back and look at them, and I always tell her, and she's like, when she passed, she's coming up here on the 26th, and she's like, Dad, I'm going to the Penn State game, to the Whiteout game. I need to use the vehicle. And I'm like, it's 300 miles away. She's like, don't worry. Well, we'll be good. So I trust my daughter. And she's doing really good. So I believe she has her mom's looks and her dad's determination and drive. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I know, going through anything in life, traumas, disappointments, hurts, abuse, like all of that stuff never feels good. But we often say on the podcast, we go through to grow through. We're growing through, we're going through, and we're growing, and you're learning and you're sharing it with the people that you meet as you go out and go different places. And, I commend you for your books and writing. Like, yeah, find a way. I've done that before too. I've been driving and I just needed to speak something out because I knew that I wasn't going to remember to write it down once I got to the next space. And so I wrote it down so that I could have it. And so by you doing that and, spending time with your daughter and building, things that you thought were lost, it's just like you are growing through every lesson in your life. And I just love that you're helping other people. And like you said, I always tell people too, you have to meet others where they are. When the Lord first wanted me to start telling my story of attempted suicide, I didn't want to tell it because as I wrote, I say, like you said, I'm the voice of the voice. I have a poem. I'm going to find that poem that talks about that because I speak, so people can hear. I wrote a poem like that. And it was about all the things that I had experienced or that the Lord had downloaded to me. But for people who would never say or don't have the courage or don't know how to communicate what has happened, what has gone on. And so, you speak to let them know, and we write books for that. And so I want to commend you for the books that you've written, and even for those to come. I know that you have a book coming up.
No more.
No more to come.
That's the last chapter. All I'm going to do is push the mental health every morning. No more. I do audio monologues.
Okay. So
that's my huge
I
thing.
Can't wait.
And all these podcasts, that's what I want to push the mental health. This is going to be global one day.
Yes. Well, listen, Stevo, I'm already excited about it. I will like to listen to your mental health. Mental health is just my jam. I love it. I love helping people, encouraging, uplifting, teaching them how to, move to the next step, helping them, just loving on them, listening, not always having something to, try to get you somewhere, but just sometimes people need to feel heard and seen. And so I just want to say thank you for everything that you do and everything you're going to do. I want you to share one final nugget with them. I know how to ask the question about share some advice to your younger self, to someone that may need encouragement. And what would you say to them?
I got this slogan: mental health is a life sentence without parole. Reason why I say that is people are like, how do you know that? Well, I worked in the prison system and I've seen murderers and killers get parole. When you have demons, we all have demons. I believe we all have trauma, past, present, and even children coming into this world because they have mothers that are drug addicts and fathers that, it all combines with, whatever. But the future generation, I would just say, and to my younger self, you fix that all with coping mechanisms. If you don't have coping mechanisms, there's no life. You can spend money for therapy. You can go to classes. You can do everything. You can take all this medication that the VA pumps into veterans, but people do the medical marijuana. That'll never be approved in the VA system because of Big Farm, because you take Big Farm and all that medicine away, Big Farm's going to go broke. So I just say that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And the last thing I would say, it takes 3 seconds to pick up a phone and ask for help. You always hear the buddy check in the military. Do your buddy check, do your buddy check. But when you do your buddy check, you need to make sure that they answer you back, because if there's a pause, there's a problem. And then you have to ask them again, are you okay? So I found that out from talking to some of my veteran friends. I'm like, yo, man, you all right? And there's a pause. I'm like, are you sure you're all right, man?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. So listeners, I want you to just take a moment, take it in, follow him on social media. And I'm about to give him a chance to just let you know, but I will put that in the show notes in the description on all the places that you can find his books. You can listen to his podcast and different things that Stevo has going on. So just for this last little moment, could you share with them how they could stay connected with you and so that they can take this journey with you and maybe share with someone else that needs some help and encouragement?
So I mainly talk my morning message on 1821 Productions, Voice of the Voiceless on Facebook. I'm the only one. I'm trademarked for that. I just don't have a little picture there and they'd be like, oh, he'll change it every day. No, this is trademark. So, and then I'm on YouTube under 1821 Productions. So Facebook is now removing videos from, I don't know if you've seen that, like months ago.
I have.
So now I put everything on YouTube.
Okay.
And then I'm also trying to cryptically put stuff on Spotify. I go through Creator and upload my stuff. So, but yeah, I do the mental health message on 1821 every morning. So you can reach out to me there. And then my books are on Books.by. Books.by. Okay. I'm sure you'll have the QR code up later. But I would say one thing of all three of my books, one word that describes them all is reflection. Because all the books talk about mirrors. And when you're done with my last book, you're going to open it up and close it. And you're going to go walk in the mirror and you're going to go, am I really the person that I thought I was?
Yeah. Wow. And that's a good question, because you have to be reflective and you have to be self-aware in most times and see what you contribute, not just what has also happened to you. So Stevo, I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation this time for us talking. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your experiences, and your growth with us here and the listeners at Inspirational Talks. So thank you again. And to everyone that's out there, please make sure that you stay tuned, connect, and go get his book so you can read them and you can share it with someone else that may need that encouragement. Peace and blessings, everybody. Have a great night.
This has been another purpose-packed episode of Inspirational Talks with LaDonna Marie, a Planting Positive Seeds podcast. Please remember to like, share, and tell your friends about the podcast. Stay tuned for many more Inspirational Talks with LaDonna Marie.